So my name is Sally Diamond. I am here tonight to present to you Expert in the House call. And we have a special guest joining us tonight, Tess, who you're going to meet shortly. And she has an amazing story that I wanted her to tell. Let's just see if I can use there. Okay, so we're going to be speaking tonight about the ASEA products and how they can stimulate your body to heal and repair. So thank you for joining us, and let's get started. So I've been with ASEA for about 4 years. I'm a health practitioner. I own a clinic called The Body Specialist in Redcliffe, which is in North Brisbane. I am a member of the ASEA Medical Advisory Board, which is a volunteer position that I hold with the company. And my background is in health and wellness. My background is a swimmer. That's kind of how I started, my life, I guess, is swimming. I was a 50-metre swimmer. I just missed the Olympics in 1992 by 0.04 of a second. So consequently, I ended up quite sick with glandular fever, chronic fatigue, and searching for ways to heal myself. That's what started my career in alternative medicine. So I then started to study acupuncture, massage, sports medicine, and opened my first clinic when I was 17 years old. And I've been treating bodies for the last 28 years. So different positions I've held were on the women's tennis, the WTA. So I worked as the head therapist with Venus and Serena Williams, the Martina Navratilova, and all the top women tennis players. So I did that for 5 years, and I travelled with them around the world. I also worked on Crystal Symphony, which is an exotic, amazing cruise ship, and I was the head therapist on board that cruise ship, and that was just an amazing, fun experience. So I've been back in Australia now for 10 years, and I discovered a technology called biofeedback, key therapy, scanner therapy, and that then became what I've been doing for the last 10 years. So my introduction into ASEA really started probably like all of you. Someone told me about it. I was very, very skeptical. I didn't really believe it could work. I didn't think a product that was, something that you just apply to your skin and that you drink could have such a profound effect on the body. I did suffer a skin condition myself, and was red, irritated, and nothing seemed to really help. And I didn't really like putting a lot of products on my skin because they contained ingredients that I couldn't explain. They contained ingredients that were toxic. And so for me, I've always been searching for that natural, clean product that I can use on my body and in my body. So anything that goes on your skin really goes into your body. So be careful, please be careful what you put on your skin and the environment that you're exposed to, because we're like a sponge and we take everything in. I love to garden, get myself dirty in the garden, play with the kids. I have 2 kids, 10 and 12, and this is my husband here, you can see on the screen. So we like to get out and get active, riding our bikes, doing triathlons, doing all sorts of crazy things. So that's probably enough about me, and we'll get started. So I'm going to tell you that ASEA, what it's not to start with. So we've all heard about vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, exotic juices. And this technology goes beyond nutrition and ingredients. So when I start to talk about this, it's not like I'm just telling you to have another shake or another drink or something that you can buy in the shops. What we have here is extremely cutting edge. It's been classified as one of the biggest breakthroughs in medicine at the moment, probably bigger than penicillin. And when I first heard that, I kind of laughed, and my skeptical brain kind of kicked in. But when you start to understand how it works, and when you hear Tess's story, it's going to start to tweak your mind, and you're going to be even more skeptical, and you're probably going to sit there and go, really? So just sit back with an open mind and listen to what we have to say here tonight, because it really is quite simple when I break it down, and we don't need to be complicated. Health is supposed to be simple. Your body is this self-healing mechanism, and if it's working right and it's communicating right from every level, from the cellular level right the way through, your body should be able to heal, repair, and get well. If it can get itself sick, then it can get itself well, but only with the right ingredients. And that goes through mental, emotional, physical, nutrition. There's many levels to healing. So it's not just one thing that makes someone well, but it's when you start to add Redox and ASEA into your life, all of these other things start to come into place and they start to work. So it impacts your health at a depth that no other supplement that I've certainly ever come across has ever come close to achieving. So the Redox discovery, let's just talk a little bit about our body. So we live and die at the cellular level. We're the sum total of 75 trillion cells. So if you were to examine your cellular structure, it's quite a complex structure, and I'm not going to go into the great complexity of it. But inside of our cell, we have our mitochondria, and it's the power plant of our cell. So that spins off these redox molecules, our reductants and our oxidants. And we need a complete balanced set of these molecules because they're there and designed for a function. We have 8 oxidants and 8 reductants, and each one has its own specific job. Now, if we have too many oxidants, that's what's causing the damage or the rusting that goes on within our cell. And if we have all of this damage that goes on and not enough of the other one, which is the pair, that's when we have injured cells, sick cells. And if they start replicating like cells do, you're replicating the sick, damaged cell. And we don't really want that to occur, because that's when disease kicks into our body. And so when we talk about redox molecules, we're not talking about something that's, that's new. We've got over 15,000 peer-reviewed articles and 1,200 books that have been published on this thing called redox signaling molecules. If you go to PubMed and you type in redox molecules, you'll start to see some of these peer-reviewed studies. And they're involved in every system and function of your body. Without redox molecules, you're essentially dying. So we'll talk about how we're born with redox and what happens when we're aging and we're dying essentially at that cellular level. So that textbook there is a fantastic book. There's many references in that, medical references terms, and they go through quite a number of disease states, let's just say, and talk about the function of redox when they list all of these conditions. So the key to cellular rejuvenation and renewal is foundational to cellular health and healing. So with age, diet, stress, and environment, we're living in a really, really toxic environment. We can be great with our diet. I'm usually pretty good. This week, the wheels fell off for me. So you can try to be great, but to be great all the time, 100%, is almost impossible. We live in an environmental toxic world. We don't know what our neighbours are spraying on the yard. We don't know the fumes that are coming into our face if we're walking down a busy main street, all day, every day. You're out there and exposed to traffic in these big cities. So what happens is that our redox signaling deficiencies and imbalances occur. We're tired, we're sick, we've got headaches. If you ask 10 people out on the street if they suffer any of these words here on the screen, I'm pretty sure that 10 out of 10 of them will tell you that they're tired, they're sick, they've got headaches, they're stressed, they can't sleep. Sleep deprivation is probably one of the biggest problems out there right now, because when we're asleep, that's when our body heals. So if we're not sleeping, we're not getting that repair and heal phase that's going on that we need to keep our engine and our system going. So, a diminished cellular efficiency and function means our whole cellular process is slowing down. We're tired and we're sluggish, and we see the effects of aging. So you can relate to that photo there on the left. We all start as young, beautiful, skin that's tight, smooth, and hopefully got no problems or diseases. As we start to step through life and stress and environment and poor diet, and we start to age. And some people age a lot worse than others. So why is that? We're about to explain a little bit about why that is. So after 2 decades, millions of dollars of research, a heavily patented technology, we have a team of scientists led by the atomic medical physicist, Dr. Gary Samuelson, and he achieved the impossible. So he was able to take salt and water. I know that sounds kind of crazy, because it is kind of crazy when you break this down, but when you look at your body, you're made of essentially 70% salt water. So if you're talking about stuff that comes out of your body, your sweat, your tears, it's all of a saline nature. So what this company has done and what these scientists did is that they've taken that salt saline solution and they've put it through an electrochemical process, and they've come out with the structure of redox signaling molecules. So this has been really, really difficult to do, and science has been trying to do this for decades, because keeping it in that stable structure of a redox molecule is what's been the most difficult part. So the scientists, they were able to stabilize these molecules outside of the body. So that's the most important word on the slide here tonight, is stabilized, because when you have a complete set of balanced redox molecules that you can replenish the body with, that's where the key and the secret is in what we're talking about tonight. Because as we age, what happens is by the time we're 40, the number of the molecules that in our cells starts to diminish by about 50%. So if you're only operating at 50%, I'm 45 now, and when I turned 40, everything started to kind of go. People would say to me, be careful turning 40, Sally, because your eyes go, your knees go, and your joints go. And I used to laugh and say, I'm in good shape, I take care of myself, I eat right, but you know, on my 40th birthday, I did start to squint and look at the screen in a different way. So, you know, our production of these molecules declines. By the time we're 60 or 70, the number of these molecules is declining even more. So amazing that we can now supplement. And thankfully for me, I found Redox at 41. I've been supplementing myself and start to look, act, and feel like I did when I was back in my 30s. So if we take a look at some statistics here, we have 5 systems of the body that the Redox really has an effect on. And there's been some studies done at the Tourette Labs in the States, which is a genetic testing lab. It's an independent laboratory, and ASEA always uses third-party testing for their products, and they use several laboratories all over the world. This is just one study that I'll refer to. You can get the results on ASEAScience.com. But in the immune system, let's have a look here. 50 million Americans have an autoimmune disease, and the symptoms can affect all body organs. In our inflammation, if you look at most conditions out there, they all end in the word itis. That stands for inflammatory itis. So it might be Achilles tendonitis, or it might be, what's another one? I can't think, my brain's not working great tonight. But everything that has an inflammatory response ends in an itis. So chronic stress is associated with the body losing its ability to regulate the inflammatory process. Chronic inflammation is linked to heart disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's disease, stroke, and cancer. And our top killers out there today really are based on inflammation, declining immune system, something to do with cardiovascular. 1 in 3 deaths in the US listed cardiovascular disease as the underlying cause. And 92.1 million Americans live with some form of cardiovascular disease or a stroke. A large one that we deal with, and we see if you were to ask the same 10 people on the street what their stomach was like, what their digestion was like, I'm pretty sure 9 or 8 out of 10 of them would tell you that they have some kind of digestive problem. They probably have allergies to foods, they probably have a gluten intolerance, they probably have IBS, or you know, something more serious that's going on with an itis in their digestive system. So 57% of all the US population suffer from serious to intermittent digestive disorders. And they're actually the second leading cause of disability due to illness in the US. And then we have hormones. So again, you ask the same 10 people, especially if they're women, probably 80% of those women would suffer some kind of hormone imbalance. The number of people now on thyroid medication is alarming, it's disastrous, and you know, we have a real big thyroid epidemic going on. In the US, diabetes is the most common endocrine disease. In 2015, nearly 10% of the US population had diabetes, and we could say that's diet related. If you've been to the States, you know what I'm talking about. So when ASEA did this study, it shows a positive genetic influence on these 5 systems of the body. So if you know, or you're experiencing a health concern or an itis or something that's just not right in one of these systems, I can tell you for sure ASEA is not on trial anymore. It has been tested. It's been proven that it's not salt water. It's been proven that it has a positive effect on all of these systems of the body. And every single client that I put on these products always comes back with an amazing blood test result. So if you've got blood tests that are out of whack and the doctor is kind of umming and ahhing and not real sure what to do, or he's giving you a lot of medication that you're really not happy about taking, when you start to add in this, it's a natural product, it's safe. ASEA has done over $7 million worth of safety studies, tests on these products, and you can be sure that your health will start to come back into balance. So Redox molecules, they regulate every major system of the body at that cellular level. So if you see this picture here, you've got the person with all those arrows and lines running on it. It's a bit like super highways that are running from the head to the toe, from the arms. It's your nervous system and all your organs and whatnot in between, broken down into several systems of the body. If you were to break all these systems, organs, tissues, cells, they all break down into a redox molecule. So if you're someone that's suffering multiple system problem, you've got muscular problem, you've got cardiac problem, you've got problem with your skin system, you've got problem with your hormones, then you've got multiple systems where redox function is lacking. And once you start to boost that, it's like turning the light switch on. It's like turning on the the communication pathways that start working between all these things, because we're not just one thing. You know, you might go and see a specialist and they specialize in one kind of area of the body, but we're a whole system connected between emotions, physical, mental, all of these things, and we really need to encompass treatment on all of these levels, especially when you're sick on many, many levels. So what if the solution was simple? And what if you could truly put yourself in control of your life and health? So as a therapist, I encourage all of my clients to take control of their own health. Have a support team of people. Don't put your faith in just one specialist or one person, because at the end of the day, you're the CEO of your own life. They have a job, and they're probably only seeing you for minutes at a time. They cannot take control of your entire life. You really need someone that takes care of your nutrition, someone that can help with life coaching maybe and put your life in a better spot or view your life from a different angle, someone that takes care of your body, someone that takes care of your emotion, someone that takes care of your blood tests and the medical team that you have going on working with you as well. But you really need to have several opinions if you're dealing with a really, really harsh situation that is affecting multiple systems of your body. So I say take control and be the CEO of your own life. With ASEA products, it's a whole new frontier of science that enables cellular health on a whole new level. The Redox products contain the same molecules that your body makes naturally, so you can't be allergic to this. It's exactly what your body is already producing. We're not putting anything foreign, and it's not causing a side effect of any kind. So generally when a patient comes in to see me, you know, I might step back 20 years for when these problems started and ask, what was the first thing that happened to you? And they'll explain it was, you know, whatever the condition was, and they were given a pharmaceutical, and the side effect of that pharmaceutical then started to create a cascade of problems, and they ended up on another drug and another drug and another drug, and 20 years goes by and they end up on my table kind of saying everything hurts, nothing's working, and that they've got all these multitude of problems. So what if you had a product that you could take that was safe, simple, effective, and it really got down to that real base layer of starting to renew, restore, repair, protect on every level? And that's what ASEA is. These redox molecules are that paramount to your life that as soon as you start to use them and take them, things just start to get better. You kind of forget how bad you were when you realize how good you are now. So they partner with Bioagilix, and this is a company in the States, and they have 8 of the top 10 pharmaceutical drugs in the US use Bioagilix to test their products. And ASEA has every batch of their Renew 28 product, which is the gel, and their liquid and the serum tested to prove that they contain these redox molecules. So you can be sure ASEA is spending a lot of money on certifying and guaranteeing that what you're buying is actually redox molecules. So they take pristine salt water, same as found inside your cells. I have been to the manufacturing plant a number of times now to see this process. It's pharmaceutical grade water, so there is nothing foreign, obscene, or potent in this solution that they start with. They break down that salt water into free floating atoms. So they separate sodium, chloride, hydrogen, and oxygen, and then they restabilize and restructure them into the structure of that redox molecule. So you can see and be assured that that is not salt water, because I've been drinking it for 4 years in big quantities at some points of, you know, time through those 4 years, and if it really was salt water, I'd be sitting in the renal unit. So I can guarantee that this is redox molecules, and ASEA guarantees it, like I said, with Bioagilix. So when someone asks you what is it, it's basically a solution of redox cell signaling molecules. What does it do? It tells our cells what to say, it communicates from cell to cell, and it turns our genes on in those 5 systems of the body. And why do we need it? Because our cells are always breaking down. If our cells are breaking down constantly, we're aging. We're aging from the minute we're born, really, but really from age 40, that's when the aging process is really starting to kick in. So they're critical for cell signaling communication. I always like to use this example. If we have a fire going on in our house and the front room is burning down, well, the first thing that we start to recognize is that we can detect that there's a problem. Now, it's great if we can detect it, but it's even better if we can call and get some help. So if we can call the fire brigade and they answer the phone, then that's even better, because now we know that there's a fire truck coming and they're going to put the fire out. If we don't have one of those steps working, then we can know all we like that there's a fire, but what's the end result? the fire's consuming our house, destroying our furniture, and it's burning down. Same thing's happening in our body. If we know that we've got inflammation going on everywhere in our body, or we've got hormone problems, or our endocrine system is completely out of whack, that's one thing to know it. The next thing we need is that communication to go between knowing and to the cells to communicate, what do we need to do to repair? Now, this all happens subconsciously, unconsciously, and we don't know how this network of communication is occurring, because when you cut yourself or hurt yourself, it's not like you call some amazing person to come and like fix it up and stitch it up. Well, you do if it's really bad, but if your body's working, those wounds and those things just start to heal. That's the internal mechanism and natural healing process of the body. Everyone's born with it. That's what redox molecules are. It gives us that ability to heal and repair. But when we start to get less and less and less of those molecules, this communication system breaks. So that's when we have someone that's riddled in many systems of the body. Well, we know that they've got all these problems, so the body just can't get itself right together to actually get it to work properly. So with ASEA, you're increasing that ability between your cells to communicate, and you're increasing the ability of your body to actually step through that process and find out which process is broken and fill it up. So you have much better chance of healing. So oxidative stress, like I said, it's the #1 health risk factor. And ASEA and Renew 28 and the Redox products, they're all designed to help reduce that oxidative stress in our body. Antioxidants are the key to fighting oxidative stress. And without these molecules, your antioxidants are actually useless. So it's like having this light bulb here. You can have a great light bulb, but until you get the power switched on and the power runs through to the light bulb's kind of, redundant and not working. So that's what the redox is. It's that communication system that's making the body light up, fire, and signal. It increases our antioxidant effectiveness by up to 800%. It helps our own body produce superoxide dismutase and glutathione, which is our master detoxifier. It's much better to have your own body producing this to try and take foreign supplements that the body then has to try and recognize and use. So there's been studies done on reducing and fighting oxidative stress, and also on cholesterol. So if that's one of your major problems you're dealing with, then it's certainly something that I see where blood test results start to come back to normal. The effect it's having on health is staggering. So the 4 functions of a redox molecule here is that we're designed to detect. We've got to detect that there's a problem. If there's a problem and the cell is damaged, then we need to kill it. Apoptosis, cell suicide, that's what occurs, and a new healthy cell is formed. If the cell can be repaired, then we need the cell to be repaired, and then we need it to be protected from virus and bacteria. So that's essentially the 4 functions of that redox molecule, and it's working in every system of your body. So what do the experts say? Anne-Louise Gittleman, New York Times bestselling author of 30 books. She says, in my humble estimation, ASEA is the greatest advance in lifestyle medicine, which harnesses the power of your own body to keep you well. And Dr. Gary says this technology has the potential to spearhead the greatest advances in health that we have ever seen. So lots of trials, like I said, have been done. This one was done at Stevens. The one I really like there is the blood flow study. Shows an increase of 50% of skin blood flow. As a therapist, it's my job. I'm trying to get blood flow into an area. That's where healing occurs. If I can send someone home with a tube, they can continue that process at home and keep applying the gel to that injured or damaged area. And it's like having me in their pocket. They're constantly getting treatment until they see me next. Using it on your face for wrinkles, for skin smoothness, skin renewal, all of those things. It's helping the body turn over, renew, and repair. So the body renews itself, the skin renews itself every 28 days, and we certainly recommend 3 applications in 5 minutes. And if you do that over several times a day, then you're getting several applications. I always say, treat it like an addict. And it's working. So you can use it on skin conditions. You can see there lots and lots of different pictures of saggy skin, red skin, scarred skin, amazing on scars, particularly after surgeries. We've seen some incredible results with patients that have had knee surgery, shoulder surgeries, skin surgeries. Just get it on there, and I would get it straight into that area as soon as you can. So this brings us to our special guest, and I'm excited to have Tess speak to us, because when you hear her story, it is really, really incredible. So Tess, if you want to unmute yourself there and show us your beautiful face. Tess called me, I don't even remember how long ago it was now. How long ago was it, Tess? 18 months?
Yeah, roughly 18 months ago.
And she called me. We had a long chat on the phone. I was working away. A car pulled up into my driveway and in came my next client. And I kind of peeked through the curtain thinking that I had the wrong person, because when she told me she was an incomplete paraplegic, she'd had this horse accident, I had conjured in my mind, you know, all sorts of figures of what might be walking into the door. And in walked Tess. She's beautiful, she's funny, and we've had an amazing 18-month journey, let's just say. So I'm not going to spoil the show here. I'm going to let Tess take it away. So
hi, everyone. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Hi. Yeah, hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us here tonight. I had a horse riding accident day before Mother's Day 2013. My horse reared up, toppled over, I fell on the ground. My half-a-ton horse fell on top of me. So you can imagine basically everything from my heart down was broken or perforated or bruised or, yeah, so I had some really horrific injuries. They didn't think I was going to come off the operating table. I had one 12-hour surgery, which was to basically stabilise me. I spent the next 2 weeks in the RBH hospital, and then I had a massive surgery for them to put a cage where my L3 was, where I'd got a burst fracture. And yeah, that's it there on your screen. And then I was chuffed off to the PA hospital to the spinal unit. And it was not until then that I actually realised, oh shit, you know, I've got that label. The first thing they did was measure me for a wheelchair. And yeah, that's when reality struck. I'm going, holy cow, I'm going to be one of those in a wheelchair. And I remember the first day they stuck me in a wheelchair and I just sobbed and sobbed and sobbed. And it was not until someone gave me a physio, sat me down, I was sitting down, and he said, look, you're an incomplete paraplegic. And I'm going, well, what the hell's that? He says, well, incomplete means your spinal cord was not severed. It was damaged terribly. It was torn by the shards of bone that burst when the horse landed on me. And so you have the ability to get out of this chair. Where there's a will, there's a way. Someone sowed that seed in my little brain and I just took and ran with it, basically, so no one could stop me. So I spent 4 months in the PA spinal unit, and I managed to, yes, get up, get out of my wheelchair. So there you can see on the left my first operation on my back, which is where the burst L3 was. My surgeon said to me, he opened me up and my cauda equina, which is the bottom of the spinal cord, just came out like spaghetti. And I said to him, well, how did you know what went where? How did you put back everything? And he goes, well, I didn't. I just sort of shoved it all back in. And yeah, after I'd fixed you up and shoved it all back in, that was that. So that's really what did the damage with all my internal organs, the bowel, bladder, sexual function, all that major stuff going on. Yeah, my insides are like a paraplegic. So they call them neuropathic bowel bladder. So at that stage, they didn't work at all. You can see there where the horse stood on my leg, and I got a compound fracture of my tibia and fibula. So the other major one was I got 2 perforated lungs. My heart was pulled out of its little socket where it sits. Luckily, they were able to put that back. And one of the tubes that connects my kidneys was basically ripped out of my kidney. They fixed that. And massive hematomas and bruising and so forth. So yeah, I was in a pretty bad way. So after I got out of hospital, you know, so I went from a wheelchair to a a walking frame like an old granny. And then, yeah, heaps of hours of rehab in the pool and walking, gym work. It was just relentless. And so after I was released from hospital, that's when the pain set in, really, the neuropathic pain. The more I tried to exercise and get myself well, strengthen my legs so that I could walk, the more pain I was getting myself into. And so prior to seeing Sally, I was on, 2 handfuls of opiates, all sorts of other drugs, every 12 hours. They weren't keeping me, the pain at bay. So I was looking for, other therapies to help me. And that's when I went searching for a scanner therapist. And that's how I met Sally. Sally worked on me, and, we started a great relationship, and she always had these blue bottles everywhere. And she's rattling on about a seer, and I'm going, yeah, whatever. And then so, the more stories she told me about, how well people were getting from it, I went, oh, well, she told me the story. As soon as she told me that it was a multi-level sort of marketing thing, and the story about how, the ASEA products were going to be shelved if it was sold to a what do you call themselves? The big pharmaceutical companies, they were going to shelve it. And so I was very, very, very skeptical. I thought, yeah, the stuff's too basic to be true. This is all bullshit. And then after about 6 months of hearing all this stuff, I went, oh, right, okay, I'll give it a go. And honestly, I have not looked back. I take the ASEA liquid morning and night. It's the first thing I put in my body in the morning. It's the last thing I put in, at night. It has made a huge difference. I am, prior to my life of, before I had my accident, I was a business owner, a mother of 2 kids, wife, and all, obviously the mad horse woman. I obviously wasn't feeding my body properly. I got a underlying liver condition from the age of about 23, is when the doctors first picked it up. Basically, they thought I was an alcoholic because of the condition of my liver. And then the biggest thing I was worried about was putting all these drugs into my system. What was that going to do? What was the long-term damage going to do on, to my liver? So after 12 months of, taking the ASEA liquid, I've noticed huge improvements. My liver function tests, 2 out of the 3 tests are now normal, back in the normal range, and we're still looking at the gamma GT, which is the fatty, the fatty liver, and that's probably a lot to do with the weight that I'm carrying at the moment. But my GP was just astounded that she says, what are you doing, and I was telling her about the ASEA, and she just sort of raises her eyebrows, and she goes, well, whatever you're doing, just keep doing it, because it's really working. You can see that, you're a million times better than what you were. You've got a smile on your face now. I've got stuff happening in my body that doctors have said that were impossible. My bowel is slowly coming back to life. My bladder, I know this sort of topic is gross, but if you're a paraplegic, you've got to catheterize, every time you go to the loo or whatever. I only do that twice a day now instead of 6 times a day. Things are happening in there, and they shouldn't be. the feelings in my feet and in my legs, because, I've got altered sensation in my legs and my feet. I can't feel my backside. And feelings are coming back. I can see from when I get goosebumps on my legs, I'm starting to get the goosebumps back on my legs where, you don't get them if you've got no feeling there. There's all sorts of this mystified stuff that's going on that shouldn't be going on. At 6 o'clock at night, I'm not reaching for my pain meds anymore. I could go up to 14 hours, 16 hours without actually having any. And now I've got an appointment next week with my pain specialist to say, hey, you need to start weaning me off these drugs. And, to me, that is huge, because not only from a financial perspective, it costs me $300 to $400 a month for these drugs. From a health wise, I can't wait to get this stuff out of my system, So, other than that, and as for the gel, Sally's using the gel on my back. When I come to see her, I come and see her once a fortnight. I've just had a melanoma removed from my back, and the specialist nearly couldn't get the stitches out because my skin on my back had healed too well because I was applying the gel. He basically had to dig the stitches out, which was pretty amazing. My kids, my daughter's got, like teenage pimples and stuff going on in her face, acne, whatever. It's cleaned all that up. It's just amazing stuff, I can't recommend it high enough. It's just like this mystified thing. Sally's obviously explained it, but yeah, it's working. So
Tess, question just came through. How long after your accident was it that we started ASEA? So I think you've been on it for what, 18 months?
18 months. And I'm coming up to 6 years since my accident in May this year. So we could say, what's that, 4.5, 5?
Yep. So even your brain's working now.
Yeah. I haven't got the brain fog that I had. I'm getting out of bed in the morning now, and I don't feel like I'm sort of, dragging myself out of bed. Well, I used to do that anyway, but I actually feel rested when I get up in the mornings now. I'm not jumping for the drugs as soon as I get out of bed like I used to. So yeah, there's something going on in there, and it's changed my life. It really has, and I just can't speak highly enough of it. I'm not I'd love to shout it from the rooftops, but I'm not one of those people to do that. So yeah, it's interesting.
Well, I know this recording will get shared all over the place, so we're grateful that you can tell your stories, Tess, and it always makes me really happy when someone says yes and they do as we instruct and say, because like I said, ASEA is not on trial anymore and it works. I'm not sure I've ever heard of a story where it doesn't work if someone just persists and continues, because deep down in your body, you don't really know what's going on. You don't know what's harboring. And, when someone's diagnosed with a condition or something happens, there's so much damage that has occurred, but it's been occurring for probably a really long time. And it's not until you find something or you become aware of it in a blood test. And it didn't just happen yesterday. It's something that's been happening. So if you're on it and you're taking it and you feel like you're not really sure, I can guarantee it's down deep in your cells, cleaning up, scrubbing up, doing whatever it's doing in that process of keeping your body functioning as that optimal unit. So for me personally, I don't have any great health concerns. It's more about keeping ourselves operating and running. I want to feel, look, and act 40 for the rest of my life. So, 40 is not a bad age. Some people see at 60. I've got a client that's 80 and he looks like he's 60, and You know, it's pretty incredible what is starting to happen with people when they start to fill their body with redox and just give it what it needs to communicate and run the proper program that's meant to be running in the body. So I don't know if anyone has any questions for Tess, but you can certainly add them to the chat box there.
Just interrupt you there, Sally. I put my 75-year-old mother onto ASEA because her eyesight was fading. Now, she took it for probably about 6 months, and she took 60 mils in the morning, 60 at night. She was also putting eye drops, ASEA drops in her eyes. And she went to the back to the optometrist, and he said, wow, you know, her eyes hadn't got any worse. So she said to me, oh, Tess, you know, it can't be working. It's not, you know, it's not reversing the eyesight. I said, yeah, Mum, you're 75 years old. You don't know if you've got any cancers going on in your body. You don't know what your body's fighting. And I said, but how did you feel? You know, and she goes, great. You know, I've got energy. I went, well, there you go. You know, you just don't know what it's actually doing, but you know it's doing something.
In fact, Tess's mum called me and said, what the heck are you doing with Tess? I tried to keep up with her at Christmas in the shopping mall and I couldn't keep up with her. She used to have to sit down all the time and rest and you know, chat and have a coffee. And she said she didn't sit down and stop all day. So whatever she's on, I need it. So
look, I do not use a walking stick at all now. I used to use a Canadian crutch everywhere, and it's in the back of my car, and I haven't used it for months. And you know, and that's pretty amazing.
And tell us what you did last year for 7 weeks.
No. Basically, we went to Egypt and Greece, and you know, I climbed inside the pyramids at Giza. And, you know, there's these stairwells and they go up these, you know, these massive inclines and I was powering along. You know, I couldn't believe it. I was keeping up, you know, with the best of, you know, the guys in our group. And, you know, and then I'm bloody riding camels next and then hot air ballooning. And I'm thinking to myself, there is no way that I would have been able to do this if I just sat in my chair and, you know, just accepted life for what it was. And I'm so glad that, you know, I met Sal and, you know, she was onto this stuff. So, yeah, so there you go.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Tess. You can quietly sit back and relax now. Good job. Someone says, wow, I could not even do that. So there you go.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. You know, if you told me, you know, back in that hospital bed that I'd be doing that 5 years later, I would never have believed you. So there you go.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tess, for sharing your story. I know it will help lots and lots of people.
No troubles.
So now we kind of move in and I'll ask you the question, are you tired of struggling with your health, struggling with your time, struggling with just not enough? You know, you don't feel like you've got enough money. You don't feel like you've got great health. You're just on this treadmill of life. And most of the people that land on my table or that I talk to, they're all struggling with something. So at some point you have to stop, you have to reassess, and you have to ask yourself, what am I going to do differently? How am I going to change the course of where I'm at right now into something different? Because if you keep doing the same thing, then you're going to get the same result. That's guaranteed. So at the end of each year, you can sit down and assess how your year was. It's something we like to do as a family. And how are you going to be and where are you going to be this time next year? So don't wait till Christmas. Start now and ask yourself seriously that question. Because if it's so simple and it's really just one thing that you add in to start to have energy, to start to sleep properly, to start to get a positive result when you go to the doctor next time, you know, to start to just feel like you're alive again, then why wouldn't you do this? you know, you have to get out of your own way sometimes and just kind of get on another treadmill and just keep plodding along. So I know it's kind of weird and I know it seems too good to be true, but you just heard of someone who sat for 6 months on the side of the fence there and decided to get off, and what happened. So I could just about interview all my clients, and I plan on doing that as time goes on, where they're all starting to tell the same story. So instead of just thinking about it now, just get off the fence, get out of your own way, and just start to take action on something. And I always say, you don't have to change everything all at once tomorrow. Just start by saying yes to a few things. Because if you keep saying no, the answer is always going to be the same as what you're already doing. So, you know, so some of you have forgotten what it's like to dream about going on that holiday, like Tess just mentioned, or having some money in the bank, or that time freedom where you can just start to do something. So do you want to be at the end of the last wave of those vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, juices? You know, that's kind of all something that we've been doing the last 30 years. We're right on the wave of the next wave that's coming. Redox signaling molecules, it is one of the fastest growing areas of science at the moment. Harvard University is studying it. Stanford University is studying it. Everyone is starting to capture and kind of get it. And ASEA is the only company in the world that has redox signaling technology that we can actually replenish our body with. So that's what was really exciting to me, is I found something that was cutting edge. It was a category creator. It was the beginning of the next thing. The biofeedback technology I used that I started using 10 years ago, that was kind of wow and weird and crazy. And look at what's happening with that now. People are starting to talk about energy. They're starting to talk about frequency. And that's kind of this next wave of what's coming. It's frequency, it's energy, and it's about redox. I can almost guarantee that. It's heavily patented, so no one's going to come close to us. And there is no competition. You can't go across the street into a supermarket. You cannot buy redox somewhere else in the marketplace. We're the only ones with that complete set of balanced 16 redox molecules. And that leads us into, you know, a great business, which was not how I intended this to be. I was always of that open, you know, mind where I look at everything that comes to market, and I want to see and really give it its due diligence and checking out to see if it's something that's legitimate. And I put it through a test of 9 months where I was super skeptical. So don't waste 9 months of your time now. I've done it. Tess has done it. Several people have done it. Like I said, it's not on trial anymore. But what's happening now is that we're in a market that's actually growing. There's so many people out there sick, struggling, tired, and that they're actually looking for an answer. They just don't know that the answer is so simple. So it's life-changing, and it's validated by third-party science. So this leads to a great opportunity as far as building a business goes. A side effect of me taking ASEA and taking this opportunity is that it gave me an income. It gave me an income away from my treatment table. It gave us a third amazing income in our family, so we can go on holidays. We've been able to finish our house. We've been able to just, you know, pay school fees at the beginning of the year and not worry about where we're going to get the money from every month. We've bought cars. There's amazing things you can do when you just open your mind, share a product that works, and know that you're with a company that's of sound background. The more you share it, the more you hear stories like Tess. Why wouldn't you want to tell your friends that are struggling with it? So we're not flogging stuff to anyone. We're simply sharing a product and a technology that works and that could help them. It's up to them to get off the fence. And if they do get off the fence and join you in good health and, you know, amazing energy, then you can start traveling around the world with them and going on some amazing trips. So you could be on the leading edge, marketing one-of-a-kind products that are revolutionizing an industry. And how amazing would that be? So it's really simple on where you go from here. You get off a fence and you go, okay, we're going to try it. If you try it, you need to try it for 3 months, and you need to do it diligently every single day. So that means you're taking the liquid in the morning and the afternoon, and you're using the gel on your face. You're probably using all sorts of crap on your face that you've bought for a really expensive price tag. When you start to replace that with this, you're getting redox in every day. You're already putting stuff on your body. So just start putting redox on and see the effect that starts to have. So you can start to consume it just as a customer. But when you start to look really good and you start to feel good, why would you want to keep that a secret? So then you would move into sharing it. That starts a little business. You share it, and if you can get your products paid for, what an amazing thing that would be. If you could earn $500 a week or $500 a month, do you know that there's so many divorces going on out there today that $500 a month would actually save many couples from actually getting a divorce? It would pay some, you know, payments off credit cards. It could pay a car payment. It could pay, you know, some of a mortgage payment. So $500 a month is a big difference. But how would $3,000 a month actually feel if you could start to earn that extra? What difference would that make to your health and to your family? Once you've started to share it with several people and they've shared it with people, then it starts to become more than just a little bit of money. It starts to become a lot of money. I never dreamed in a million years that I would be sitting in box number 3 there and getting to experience life where I didn't have to work at a table strapped to a client. I get the freedom now to work and help people all over the world. I have customers and consumers and people call me from all over the world now with concerns about their health. I explain the Redox story and I just invite them to get off the couch or get off where they're at and just try it. There's no one pressurizing you or forcing you to do anything. I would never force anyone to do anything. It's really up to you, because the only person that can heal you is you. It's when you make a decision to actually do something. And when you do something, that's when your mind, your body, and your spirit all becomes one, and you actually go to work on a goal. So when you find and establish that medical team that's working with you, you have to all be in coherence together. If you don't like your specialist or they're on a different page, find another one. If you don't like what that specialist has to say, find another one. Because I guarantee you can see 3 of the same specialists and you'll get 3 different answers. So don't take to heart what one person says to you. Get multiple opinions, because really at the end of the day, it's an opinion. It's up to you to decide what you're going to do with that information and how you're going to proceed. So it's really simple. I tell people, open an account with a seer. It's $60. You do it through the person that invited you here tonight or to this call. And for $60, you get your portal. It's your online ordering system where you can order your products. They can come every month delivered to you once you figure out what your order is going to be. You can change that order, delete it. You can add another order if you've run out. When you do that, you earn loyalty points, you earn free products, you get reduced shipping costs, and there is no contract. So you're not signed up to anything that you have to keep doing. But I guarantee when you start doing it, I know Tess will never stop. I will never stop. And when people start to get these amazing results, why would you stop? So that just highlights that when you find a customer, there's essentially a customer for life. You go out and build an amazing team of people that you're helping with their health, and you are starting to build an incredible business just like that. So it's not rocket science. Anyone can do this if they've got a heart and they're really trying to help someone. So you get your own website, and that's the link that you might want to share with people. That's the portal where you can order from and where others can order from as well. So we have a discovery that will significantly impact people's health in a technology that has the entire scientific community buzzing. If they look at the science, that's the really key part there. Because if a doctor sits there and starts to type it into Google, they're not finding the right, correct information. So I want to be clear with that. They have to go and search on PubMed and search redox signaling molecules. That's where the key message is in what we're doing here. It's redox signaling molecules that we have with the ASEA products. We have it in a model that's widely accepted. It's online. People can order from any country, 34 countries in the world that we're now shipping to, and it's really, really easy. If you don't know the story of how ASEA started, you can see it on ASEAGenesisVideo.com. 2 amazing guys, Vertus Norton and Tyler Norton, father-son combination. And as Tess said, when the company and the product was stabilized, what happened is Vertus and Tyler were not looking for a business. They were not looking for an opportunity. They simply took over a strategic, role that Vertus was in on another company that was trying to do this that had failed. They found Gary Samuelson, they stabilized it, and now they had this problem where they had this technology, but he was retired. He didn't really want another big company. So they invited in the big people that we would think that we'd be taking care of our health, Big Pharma. And Big Pharma then decided that they were going to buy this for $1 billion cash. But it was on that condition that they were going to cut it off, make it go away and destroy everything, because it has the potential to completely change the face and health of the world. So we all know Big Pharma's game. It's to get everyone on a drug at the age of 40. They want people on medicine. It's the best business in the world. It's the best business model that anyone should really follow, because it's just getting people into their system. Someone that comes in to interrupt that system and produces a product that actually works, they're out there with their big dollars trying to close them down. And this is one company that they were trying to close down. So these 2 guys said no to the money and they said yes to us. That's why it's sold from you to me and you to someone else. you get an education, you get experience, you get someone that's actually caring for you and showing you how to use these products. And ASEA is the one that pays all of us, because we've cut the middlemen out. We've cut all of those warehouses and the distribution model that Harvey Norman and some of these other big chains are actually using. When you buy a TV, half of that money is going somewhere. It's not actually going, you know, it doesn't all go directly to Mr. Harvey, of course. It's going to everyone else in between. So this model is just a different way of doing business. And ASEA's success story is enormous. Ships to 34 countries. We've got manufacturing facilities, and they've been profitable since their first year. Every year we're growing, and hundreds of thousands of lives have changed. So the big man Verta says we're all at the start of something big with great purpose, and right now is the moment that we begin influencing the future. We can change the world. So all I can say is thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoyed the presentation and hearing Tess's story. If you're sitting there and you're wondering, please just do something different. And if it's not ASEA, then make it something positive, make a change. And I hope you come back to ASEA if it's not right now, because I know it does take some time to process it, but it's safe. It's not going to hurt you. And just imagine what it would be like if you could sleep, if you could wake up with energy and you could actually start to thrive again. We were born to thrive and to help people. And that's our great mission here in ASEA, is to help as many people as we can. So with that, I want to say good night. Thanks for joining. There will be a recording that you can share with everyone if they were unable to join us tonight. So I will stop the recording right now. And there is a question there. The copy will be placed on redoxdiamonds.com probably tomorrow. So you can check that website. All the recordings that the Diamonds have go on to their website, redoxdiamonds.com. So thank you, everyone. It's bedtime for me, and I look forward to seeing you all at an event somewhere, and good luck. Get healthy.